Awesome. Thank you. Thank you. So first and foremost, thanks for having us. This is a really exciting place to be and a really fun conversation to have. So to start things off, Fernando, you're in the gaming space. And by way of introduction, you've been there for about a year, coming from the big brand world.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here again. I don't think I've always ever hyped that way before, right? I really enjoy that. Good job. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I think I was here 3 years ago. It is just great to be able to meet people in person again. I was missing that. And it's always great to be part of Brand Innovators. I mean, I think I've been coming in and out and being part of Brand Innovators for so many years, and it's just great to see how they bring together all their marketing community. I've been with Activision Blizzard now for almost a year, it's a year in April. Before Activision, I was with Restaurant Brands International, which is Burger King, Tim Hortons, and Popeyes for a little bit over 7 years. And before that, I was a lifetime in Unilever. I was 18 years in Unilever. And my dad used to say, always put yourself in a position to learn something new. Knowledge is the one thing that you're never going to lose. People cannot take it from you, basically. So throughout my career, I always try to do something different. Right? I mean, 18 years in Unilever never felt like 18 years because I was moving brands and countries and all that. And then Burger King, completely different than Unilever. 3G Capital, different than Unilever. QSR, having a space, which is the restaurant. And it was really fun, the work that we did there. And I was always a big fan of video games. I always wanted to tell my mom that all that time playing video game would pay off somehow. And when the opportunity came to join Activision, Call of Duty, World of Warcraft, Diablo, Overwatch, Candy Crush, and where this industry is going, an industry that's evolving a lot, I thought it was a friend of mine says that if a spaceship comes in your garden, you just go in without asking too many questions, and that's what I did. And I'm learning a lot. Big challenges in terms of leadership, in terms of DE&I, in terms of the business, and I'm learning a lot, and I love that space. So I'm having fun and trying to do some great work there.
Awesome, thank you. Absolutely brilliant man we've got in front of us. For the premise of this conversation, by way of introduction, on the Ben side, we've been working with. We do entertainment marketing. We work with influencers. We do product placement, and we've been steeped in the gaming industry for well over the past decade. And so for the crowd here, can you tell us a little bit about? Obviously, we're going to get into innovation. We're going to get into data and how we market in this world, in this category. But can you give us a little bit of a sense of what's the size of the gaming industry?
It's funny you ask that, because when I told my friends I was moving to Activision, they were like, "Oh my God, you're going to work in gaming? It's so much fun. It's growing so much. It will be a big industry in the future." And I was like, "Yeah, well, it is a big industry already, right? I mean, it's bigger than movies, music, sports in the U.S. put it together." And I think that people sometimes don't realize that, the size of gaming. Candy Crush has 4.3 billion downloads. It has more than 250 million monthly active users. It's like a Super Bowl every day, on Candy Crush, you know what I mean, or more.
4.3 billion
downloads.
That's half the world population.
Yeah, well, I'm sure that some people downloaded more than once, but 250 million monthly, which is what we really count. It's huge, and I never in my experience, I never worked with an industry where people were so passionate about the product and about the brands. You know, yeah, sure, there are some people who are crazy about the Whopper, but it's a completely different level of fanatism, and people are going to grill you on Reddit if you don't do the right thing, or maybe they will grill it on Reddit no matter what. But it's the closest I can think of, and because I'm Brazilian, I say that, is how soccer fans support their soccer teams. It's very different. Unilever, I work on amazing brands like Dove. Yeah, they were fans of the brand and the positioning and real beauty, but it's really unlike, game is unlike anything I have ever seen. And that's why influencers play, I think, such an important role.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they serve as they can help guide the community. You know, you cannot really do advertising as we know it for gaming. You know, like it comes across as interruption, and like it's different than like when you are watching TV, everyone is passively watching TV. Like when people are playing video game, they are not passively playing video game. In fact, games today, they don't stop. Like when I was a kid, I was playing Mario. I could pause. My mom would call me to have dinner. I would go have dinner, come back. It's a real story. Now you can't pause that thing. You know, like everyone is playing live ops. Like even like the model of like having one game per year that the companies drop around November, so it's around like Christmas. That doesn't work anymore. It's like ongoing. You know, like Warzone for Call of Duty is ongoing, Overwatch is ongoing, World of Warcraft is ongoing, Fortnite is not ours, but it's ongoing. Everything is ongoing. So you cannot even pause the game. FIFA. So it's just, to me, it's just like fascinating to try to invent or create where this thing is going. You know, like, and that's why I'm so excited about gaming.
Yeah, and there's so much going on in the gaming space, and so many brands wanting to be involved in the gaming space because it does have such a large and dedicated audience to it. There's millions upon millions of creators who are creating gaming content daily. They're streaming it, they're posting about it, and there's hundreds of millions, billions of people who are watching and consuming that content. So as a gaming publisher and as a gaming advertiser, everybody who does gaming and advertises in the space works with gamers. How do you stand apart when you're talking about not only community building but leading out into other communities? How do you do that?
Yeah, so it is true what you say. Like that's the thing. Like the gaming market is not just the people who play. There is also a massive market of the people who watch. You know, like if you look at the size of streaming of gaming, it's larger than ESPN, Hulu, most of those streamers combined in terms of number of hours watched. People enjoy watching games, and there are some massive influencers in terms of that.
Huge.
And I think
Absolutely huge.
And I think that all brands that are in gaming, like some gaming influencers, they tend to play specific games, so they end up like being influencers of that game or like of 2 or 3 different games. You know, like they don't play everything because I think it will be hard for you to become really great at playing if you play too many games at the same time. But like you need to have a relationship with those guys. You need to invest on that. You need to like give those guys some goodies, like give early access, you know, and build a relationship with those folks. But everyone does that. And I think that to your point, I think that where it gets more interesting is when you do things that are unexpected. And it's when like you show up in places where people were really like not even thinking about it, because then it hits you like and it becomes much more memorable. We did a really cool activation when we launched the Pacific map on Warzone. Warzone is our battle royale for Call of Duty, and every other year or every year we change the map. So we move from Verdansk. Like if you don't know Call of Duty, what I'm saying is like weird, but like there was a map that was called Verdansk, and we moved to Pacific, which was an island, and we know that our people who have affinity with the game love tourist influencers, you know, like those guys that are always traveling, posting beautiful pictures of beaches and this and that. So we partner with like the top, I don't even know, like 40, 50 travel influencers, and we took footage that they never posted, or even footage that they posted a long time before, and we brought war into in a kind of like tongue-in-cheek way. Like you have a surfer, like that's an influencer surfing the wave. He shot himself, and then when the camera goes underwater, there is a submarine. You know, but it's really well produced. It's not like cheesy. And then it's like Warzone Pacific, new map. Yeah. So when you do that type of stuff, and there are many other examples of things like this, and you combine that with doing the bread and butter, which is the kind of like the grassroots work with people who really play your game and again, give early access, build a relationship, listen to their complaints, listen to their suggestions, then I think you start to have a more robust influencer plan.
No, I think that's brilliant. In fact, to hone in on that a little bit on a finer point, a lot of what we've seen in the space that we have is when you see a gaming company work with a gaming influencer, or a fitness company working with a fitness influencer, great, you're the same as everyone else. You're adding into the community, which is great and important for community building. But when you're doing what you're talking about, which is you find and map out where that community lives and find out how to reach them in unexpected ways, the intelligence that goes behind that creates an unexpected moment that sticks with the audiences and helps build and expand and really strengthen the community that you're trying to build.
Totally.
So that is, I love that. Could you tell me a little bit about when you're putting together these plans and you're thinking about going outside of the box, how do you make sure that when you said work with travel influencers, how do you make sure that they're hitting the right audiences?
Yeah, we try as much as possible to leverage data and turn data into insights to come up with ideas and plans. Like, I think that in a company like Activision, we are really good at measuring things because we sell a lot direct to consumer too. So we have a large database of first party data. A performance marketing team is pretty huge, much bigger than what it was in my time in Unilever or even on my time on restaurant brands. So I think it helps when we can come up with proof points that what we are proposing makes sense. So we look at things like affinity of our target audience. We know that they have affinity for travel, and you can double click there and try to understand travel what, because travel is such a big, broad topic. We try to partner with people who have an authentic connection to the franchise. That's the other thing. The community is super harsh. They will call you out if you're partnering with people who have absolutely nothing to do with the brand. And we try to measure the ROI of everything we do, and then if it works, we double down and we scale. The example of that one example that I was giving on the Pacific with tourist influencers, with travel influencers, that's the right word. The ROI of that was better than the ROI of our trailer for the launch of the Pacific Island. And it's
That's amazing.
It's very hard
Absolutely
to beat the trailer because everyone is waiting to see how the thing is going to look like, and that did beat the trailer in terms of engagement, viewership, and all that good stuff.
So that right there is a really good I think example of, number one, being relevant to your audiences and hitting them in unexpected ways, but also specifically in following the data and creating authentic content. Because like you said, the audiences will know. They'll know if it's not authentic.
Yeah, and it's not that complicated to go and see what are the things that people who have affinity with your brand, what are the things that they like? Whether it's fashion, sports, music, blah, blah. And then, okay, within music, what are the genre? What are the artists? Are there any subcultures within the large chunk of people who follow your brand? That we used to do a lot on Burger King too. We were not going just for the main topic on the list of the main interest of the audience. We were looking okay, this is not the main topic for everyone, but it's really, really, really important to a tribe that is within our community, and we would go after those. So, for instance, we would do jokes on Burger King for sneakerheads that 99% of the population would probably not understand, but that 1% that understood would be oh, haha, these guys get me. And for the 99%, they'll be whatever, because that's how you look at your Instagram anyway. So I think it's also important to not just go to the top interest, but trying to identify what are the subgroups within your broad audience and do stuff for them that will make them love you for you to be like-minded with them on that interest.
No, so that is so incredibly important. Speaking from experience, working with hundreds of different brands, to see somebody who is willing to follow the data, not just the top-level data, but go deep into it and leverage it appropriately. It always yields results, and it's very, very powerful, yet I've found that so few people are willing to go that far and go that detailed. One of the things that makes me think of is this creating this consensus between the brand, the creators that you're working with, because they bring the voices, they bring the communities, and doing that in a way that reaches and hits the audiences on that authentic level. So with all that in mind, knowing that those are moments that you're creating all the time, games, you talked about games being ongoing, development cycles are forever. Creating a DLC or a new skin takes time. How do you take those moments, that consensus between you and your community and the creators that you're working with, and keep it relevant? Because you're not dropping a new game every day. Yeah. How do you tackle that?
Yeah, we try we try to map out what we think will be hot, in the next 12, 18 months. To do a new operator for Call of Duty, it takes 6 months or more because of the level of detail, because of the way we do it. We scan the person with different lights. It's like, it's really, it can get really technical here. But those things take time. So for instance, if something is trending today and I want to drop in the game today, it's unlikely that's going to happen because it takes time to do that. So we try to map out in advance. And if you want to do real time and something is hot and we want to tap into that and it makes sense for the game, it makes sense for the franchise. Like there are ways to do that through social media, there are ways to do that through advertising, but to embed in the game is a bit harder depending on what you're trying to embed.
Right. So it's all about finding your voice, leveraging your voice for the quick turn relevant moments.
Yeah, we do a lot of that in social. You know what I mean? Like we have very clear what's the tone of voice of each of the franchises. Like the tone of voice of Diablo is very different than the tone of voice of Candy Crush, which is very different than the tone of voice of Call of Duty. And maybe the three brands will react to something that happened in the outside world, but what they will say is completely different. You know, Diablo is much more dark. It's dark. You know, it's Diablo, right? Candy is much more happy-go-lucky. So the tone of the brand is much more optimist. Is like a fun, and Call of Duty is a little bit more serious. You know, so we react and react very quickly. We don't react to everything. We don't have all the brands reacting to the same thing. But when we do in a way that feels authentic to the brand.
And because you're so embedded in the community, both working with on a very base community level and working with the thought leaders and the creators, you're able to do that much more effectively than you otherwise would be able to.
Yeah, I think that I think that's true for any brand. I think it's even more so for gaming because the community is absolutely obsessed about the game and they're unforgiving. But knowing your product and knowing your brand and knowing what it stands for and what makes people tick, I think is essential. You know, I think it will be very difficult for someone to succeed in gaming if the person doesn't like the game. That it's much easier for me to I work on makeup in Unilever. I had to learn. I didn't know what was a foundation, what was a difference between an oil and something else in terms of removing makeup. I have to learn all that stuff. You know what I mean? But even if I get it wrong, I will get a pass. You know, on gaming, you will not get a pass. People are going to come after you. The community will and it's really hard because it's kind of entertaining meets digital. You know what I mean? The industry. So the studios have a lot of power. You know, on Burger King, the product team reported to marketing. In Unilever, R&D was very close to marketing and were following the guidance of marketing. In gaming, it's more it's probably like a movie industry. I never worked on movie industry, but the guys who are creating the movie, they have a lot of power and they don't report to you. You know, imagine you going to, if Christopher Nolan doesn't like your key visual, you're fucked. You know what I mean? It's not like in Burger King. It's who cares? I'm the marketing guy. This is it. You know. So the guys, the studio guys, they can become very sensitive if the community is criticizing too much because you did something that's off. You know, they are if there are people who are completely obsessed about the product and the game, is the studio guys. You know, the guys that are creating the game. They know that thing inside and out. Even if you play the game for 10 years and you play hours per day, they will know better than you. So you need to work together with them and need to do things that will make them proud. And that's why it's important that you understand the game, and that's why it's important that you understand the community, because if you don't, you will screw up and the community will come after you, and then the whole team gets upset. It's a very different dynamic than in the previous experience I had in my career.
Oh, awesome. So, how doing well on time? Perfect. So
the good news is that I like video game and I play since I was a kid.
This is important.
I have every single video game you can think of. I still have a Dreamcast. I don't know, I'm probably telling my age here now. I love my Dreamcast. I was really good at Soul Calibur. I love Konami, Capcom. I know every single game you can think of. I have a 3DS, a DS, a PSP. I have a collection of Game Watches. That Donkey Kong, the orange one that opens like this, was my favorite. So I like this. I have a collection of Amiibo. I'm super nerdy geek. I have all statues, and my kids go in my office and they destroy it because it's so much fun for them.
Oh no, I love that. So for this crowd, because not everybody here is in the game industry, but from a lot of the work that we've done over the past 10 years, we've seen more and more brands want to integrate into the gaming industry, whether it's through the games themselves, working with partners such as yourself, or working with the influencers and creators who are playing gaming content. This is a massive community, and a lot of the work that we've talked about today is all about leveraging that community, speaking to that community, and moving them to act and to do more than they otherwise would.
Yeah.
And so the question that I would have for, as you talk and think about this broader crowd and the brands that they represent, how would you recommend leveraging the gaming community as entertainment in marketing?
I think it's a huge opportunity, to be honest, and we were doing, when I was on Burger King, we were doing a lot of that because we identified that gamers over-index in fast food because you can't pause it. So there is a lot of delivery, there is a lot of fast food going on. If I were working on a brand and I wanted to tap into gaming, I would first try to see where is the overlap in terms of target audience with which game, right? I mean, you have a brand that you have a target audience, which doesn't necessarily mean the people that you serve today, but maybe it's the people that you want to reach. And then I would see okay, what games kind of over-index around that audience, and then I would go and understand the game inside and out. You know what I mean? You will not be able to succeed if you don't understand what makes that community tick, what do they like, what they hate. You need to understand the thing. And if you're not into gaming, find someone who is, that can help you, an agency, someone in the team, maybe someone on the social media team, because that's so important. I have so many people that come to me that want to do a partnership, and on the first 5 minutes, you know that the person doesn't know the game. You know what I mean? And that whatever you do need to be careful, because if you screw up, as I said, the fans will hate this stuff. The other thing, which is something that our chief creative officer told me, we are preparing a presentation, and he had this slide, which I loved. Pele is his name. He was talking about the audience that we reach every day, which is much more than a Super Bowl audience. And then he had this picture of the Super Bowl stadium, and then you could see the logo from Pepsi, the logo from Budweiser, yeah. And he said, well, when advertisers come to advertise to these people, they're advertising to the audience, right? I mean, so they show stuff to the audience. But in game, you are advertising to the people who are playing the game. So it's almost like, imagine if you were on the Super Bowl going to the players saying, hey, drink Pepsi. You know what I mean?
I will.
That wouldn't go well as much as a Pepsi is a great brand. So what tends to work is if you understand the game, if you understand the community, the audience, and the target is the one that you are going after, to maybe find ways to create tools that will help those folks succeed in the game. Or either tools or cool stuff like a sticker, or that's a bullshit idea, but give something to them that will have value for them in the game. Help them become better at the game. That's the type of thing that works. We did a really cool partnership with Heinz. Heinz came up with this idea. We are launching the new map, and it's an insight that they have that when you're playing Call of Duty Warzone, you can't pause, so it becomes really hard to eat. So there are lots of streamers that are trying to eat and they get shot because they are not touching your control, basically, right?
Great entertainment.
So we work with them to help find places where people can hide in the map so that they can eat. It's kind of silly, but really fun. And for the community, they thought it was funny and cool. And then Heinz partnered with influencers to review where were their favorite hiding spots so that they could eat. You know what I mean? You do stuff like that, the community will embrace you. You slap a Heinz logo on a wall in the game, you're no, you don't understand how to reach the hearts and minds of those players.
And I think that puts such a fine point on a lot of this conversation, because at the end of the day, whether you're playing the game or you're one of the hundreds of millions of people who are watching the game, it's all about entertainment. It's all about being integrated into those classic, amazing moments where you're creating something that the audiences want to watch. They want to be a part of. And that, just from a psychological advertising perspective, associates your brand with this happy moment, with this thing that it's good, solid branding.
Yeah, I know I'm biased, but if I had a brand, if I would work on a brand that's not in gaming, I would try to build a gaming strategy. You know what I mean? Because it's 3/4 of people in the US play video game. We don't use the word gamers internally anymore because everyone plays. It's like calling someone, oh, you're a TV watcher. You don't say that, right? I mean, because everyone watches TV, everyone plays video games. So there is no such, gamer is not anymore the dude in the basement in front of a PC without light playing something. It's really not like that. Everyone plays. Like if you look at the statistics, like all the misconceptions that you have around gender, age, like they're probably all wrong. There is a game that reaches out whatever target audience that you think doesn't play video game, because everyone plays.
It's true. Everyone does play. And to put a finer point on, you said you're biased. You think everybody should be advertising working with this community because it's everybody. From a data perspective, from the hundreds of clients that I've worked with, so I work on specifically our growth marketing or our performance division here at Ben, and we're all about the data of what drives results. And I can tell you how many brands we have just surprised, knocked their socks off when they see the results that come through by working with these communities, because they often just check them off as like, no, we're not a gaming brand. We don't work with those people. But it's the surprise and delight when you reach audiences in a way that is authentic to who they are. That is such a powerful moment for a brand. Such a powerful moment. And the results always come through. They show very strongly. So I think that, if I could summarize, that this conversation is, to me, a really good demonstration of the need and the importance to understand your audience, to understand who they are and what they do, but also integrate into the things that they're playing, the entertainment that they're watching, and being a part of the stories that they want to be a part of. Not to be interrupting them in their day, but to be a part of them. And that...
it's like, think of gaming as a social media channel. You
Absolutely.
know what I mean? Like, people are meeting up in Warzone and as friends. I have friends that say, like, okay, tonight 8 p.m. drop Warzone, and then everyone with headset. And we're not talking necessarily just about the game. We're talking about having a conversation. I think that the pandemic accelerated that dramatically, obviously, but that's the way I see a bit what happened with many industry. It was just an acceleration of something that was that would happen anyway. And I think that the sooner people understand that, the more you'll be able to leverage as part of your marketing plan for whatever brand and whatever business you have.
Yeah, absolutely. This has been something that's been building over time, and it's not going away. It's only getting stronger. So, Fernando, thank you for your time.
Thank you. My pleasure, guys. Thank you so much.
Can I have a couple questions?
Yes.
Aside from maybe how long has it been since we've seen that, James, and how big of a fan did you have? But aside from that, other questions from the audience?
That's the best profile picture ever, dude.
Right? I know. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay. Questions? Yes. Oh, here we go. We got the down jacket. Here we go.
Hey, Fernando, that's great. I represent the games division of Brave Software. We're a Web3 crypto browser, and I work pretty heavily with the blockchain gaming studios. We're seeing explosive growth, but recently we're seeing like Web2 gaming companies like Scopely and Jam City, Netmarble, starting to explore Web3 blockchain gaming opportunities. I was just wondering, is there a cohesive strategy within your organization, as much as you can share about that type of stuff?
Like that's definitely something that we are looking at. We haven't done much on that space, I think. It's complicated. I would hope that, how do I say that in a politically correct way? I hope that we do more on that space, but we haven't done much there yet.
So just to add to that for half a second, because a lot of the brands that you worked with, we work with as well. And one of the things that we often talk about in gaming is that everyone's excited about the Metaverse. It's this brand new thing. The reality is, and you would know this better than myself, the Metaverse is already here within the gaming world. People have been in it for years. We just haven't called it that. And I think that, as the world evolves, gaming has very much been leading the charge.
Awesome. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Fernando. Thank you. That was absolutely fascinating. You talked a lot about the community. I'm just wondering how you manage all the creative challenges around speaking to the right people with the right message on all the different channels you're using. How do you deal with those challenges as they are?
Again, it's complicated. Like we have blog posts that go in super deep, like level of detail in terms of like the development side of life. We have social media. In social media, we have the pages from the company, the page from the game, the page from the studio, right? I mean, so it's different channels. We have our CRM, where we are like giving news to people. We have, in the case of Blizzard, we have BlizzCon, like which was virtual last year. So there are like multiple channels, and I think that the difference among them, one of the key differences among them is the level of detail you give to people. You know, like if you go to a blog post, it's like hardcore. Like if you never play the game, you don't even understand like what people are talking about. Like if you have an affinity for the game and you follow us on Twitter or Instagram, it's a bit lighter. You know what I mean? Like, so we kind of like segment a little bit like that, but there are so many different touch points. You know, for Call of Duty, like every single studio has their own moderator, social media channel. You know, Infinity Ward, Treyarch, Raven, they all have. And then we have Call of Duty Mobile, Activision Blizzard King. So it's not simple to manage all that.
Thank you. We have one. Oh, go ahead. You have some to add?
Yeah, just half a second to add. One thing that's also that I think you guys do well is you find voices within the community to also lead those discussions. Because as much as the community is diverse, there are opinion leaders, there's thought leaders, there's creators who can voice that for you. So by making those allies, the community builds itself in that way.
It's true. Like every time we have a launch, we bring people in, we show the stuff beforehand. They see the stuff under embargo. Like if you are an influencer, you love that because you're giving you exclusive content for you to promote on your channels. So there is a whole like stream of work around that.
One more question, and then don't go anywhere because I do have a slight request to the audience before you leave. So one last question.
Yeah, thanks, Fernando. I'm actually just curious how esports factors into this, especially as we're coming back into in-person events, and how much you guys are thinking about like in-person community. You mentioned BlizzCon, but obviously there's series like DreamHack and a lot of other things around that. Is that important? Do you think that that's going to be a big part of esports as we come together again?
I think it is important. Like I remember like 6 months before I joined Activision. I went to, no, not 6 months, like a year before I joined, I was invited to the finals of the Overwatch League in Philly. And I wanted to have that experience because I only saw on TV and stuff like that. And I went there, and there was this stadium with more than 20,000 people cheering, like, and teams, like the team jersey and this and that. I was completely blown away. Like, esports today is already bigger. I think it's bigger than F1 in the, maybe before the Netflix documentary, but like, it was bigger than F1 here in the US. It was almost the same size as MLS, if I recall correctly. And I think it did, like, my personal point of view, it did take a bit of a hit because of the pandemic, right? I mean, because we lost the physical presence. BlizzCon was postponed. It's not esports, but like that also took a hit. We had the finals, I think, for CDL, like I think it was a week ago. And again, it was great to see people coming back. My view is that has the opportunity to increase exponentially now that people are coming back. You know, like I went to a concert in LA last week. The stadium was full. You know, like I was on this event 3 years ago, and there are more people here today than there were 3 years ago. So I think that people are really like, this is just like human behavior. People are really like looking forward to go back to normal and be out and about again. Gaming has grew a lot during these past 2-3 years. So I think when it comes back, and it's starting to come back, it will come strong. And I think it is important. I think it's a really important part. Like our streamers are all part of that. You know what I mean? Like, and it's just like an awesome celebration of the community and of the game.